What if the most important person in a company is the one nobody sees until the moment everything breaks? The system almost crashed at 3:17 a.m. I remember the exact second because I was already awake, staring at my screen, waiting for something to go wrong. It always did. A cascade error started deep in the architecture, one of those silent failures no one else even knew how to detect. My fingers moved before I could think. Patch, redirect, stabilize. Breathing returned. No alerts triggered, no one noticed, no one ever did. By 9 a.m., I was in conference room B at DataForge AI, facing the people who thought this system ran itself. "It's not sustainable," I said, pushing the data toward them. "Because of you, we lost 5 highly qualified specialist engineers due to staff cuts. There's no redundancy. If I go down, even for a day, this entire system collapses." Elliot Vance, the company's CEO, didn't even look at the screen. "Then don't go down," he replied flatly. A few quiet chuckles circled the table. Something in my chest tightened. "I'm serious," I said. "I haven't slept properly in weeks. I need support, or at least fair compensation." Elliot finally met my eyes. Cold, dismissive. "Stop whining, Parker, and start working harder." How long can a person carry everything before they finally let it fall? I didn't respond, because in that moment, something inside me broke, but not loudly, quietly, like a thread snapping under tension. That night, I sat alone in the server room, the hum of machines louder than my thoughts. I pressed my palm against the cold metal rack and whispered, "I can't do this alone anymore." But the only thing that answered me was silence. How far would you go just to feel valued, even if it meant living a double life? Burnout doesn't explode, it erases you. I stopped noticing days, meals, sleep. My world shrank to blinking dashboards and silent failures waiting to happen. At DataForge AI, I wasn't a person anymore. I was a function, and functions don't get tired until they break. The conference was supposed to be routine. Another badge, another speech, another room full of people pretending everything worked. That's where I met Lena. "You're Parker, right? The one who built that adaptive system?" she asked, scanning my badge. I nodded, cautious. "You did it alone?" she pressed. "Not at first. And now?" I hesitated, then said it. "Yes." She leaned back, studying me like a problem worth solving. "That's not impressive," she said quietly. "That's dangerous." What if the first person who truly sees you is the one who changes everything? We talked for hours, not small talk, real talk, systems, failures, people. At the end, she said, "Come to Quantum Grid Systems, even part-time. Just work somewhere you're not invisible." I didn't answer immediately, but that night in my hotel room, staring at the ceiling, I felt something unfamiliar. Hope. Weeks later, I said yes, and just like that, I had 2 lives. By day, I was still the silent backbone of DataForge AI. By night, I worked with a team that asked, "What do you think?" instead of "Why isn't it done?" One evening, Lena messaged, "You sound different lately." I paused, then typed, "I think I remembered who I was." But secrets don't stay hidden, and somewhere, someone had already started watching me. What if the worst day of your life is actually the moment everything finally sets you free? The email arrived at 8:12 a.m. No greeting, no context. HR, conference room C immediately. I didn't rush, because deep down, I already knew. The room felt colder than usual. Elliot Vance sat across from me, fingers steepled, eyes sharp. Beside him, HR, silent and rehearsed. "Parker," Elliot began, "we have evidence you've been working with another company." There it was. Not concern, not curiosity. An accusation. I met his gaze. "I fulfilled every obligation here. The system is stable, there have been no failures." HR slid a printed photo across the table, me entering another office building. "Care to explain?" she asked. I looked at it, then back at them. "No," I said calmly. Elliot's jaw tightened. "You've betrayed this company." Something in me almost laughed. Can you betray a place that stopped valuing you long ago? I gave everything to this company, I replied quietly. You just stopped seeing it. Silence. Then the verdict. You're terminated, effective immediately. The paper slid toward me like it mattered. And that's when it happened. I smiled. Not out of arrogance, out of relief. 3 years of pressure, gone in a breath. Elliot frowned. You don't seem surprised. I'm not, I said. What, no argument, no defense? I stood, pushing the chair back slowly. No, I answered. You should focus on replacing me. They expected anger. They expected panic. What they got was peace. As security walked me out, eyes followed, whispers rising. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Lightness. Because they didn't realize the truth yet. They hadn't just fired me. They had erased the only person who knew everything and understood about their information system. And in a matter of days, they would feel it. How long does it take for a company to fall apart after losing the one person holding it together? Monday, 9:06 a.m., the first alert hit DataForge AI. A minor delay in data processing, nothing dramatic, the kind of issue they used to ignore because I was always there to fix it before it mattered. But I wasn't there anymore. By 11:40 a.m., the delay turned into a backlog. Systems began queuing requests they couldn't process. Internal dashboards flickered with inconsistencies. Why isn't this resolving? Someone snapped in the operations room. No answer. Because the answer had walked out the door 3 days ago. What happens when the system doesn't just glitch, but starts unraveling? Tuesday, errors multiplied. A synchronization failure corrupted client data streams. Automated decisions began misfiring. Reports went out wrong. Phones started ringing. Fix it, Elliot demanded, voice sharp with panic. We don't know how, an engineer admitted. There's no documentation for this layer. Silence, the kind that suffocates. Wednesday. Everything broke. Clients lost access. Entire segments of the system shut down to prevent further damage, but that only made things worse. News spread fast. DataForge AI experiencing critical failure. Inside the building, chaos. Outside, doubt. At Quantum Grid Systems, I watched the headlines appear on my screen. Lena stepped beside me. You predicted this. I tried to stop it, I said quietly. My phone lit up. Unknown number, then another, then 10 more. Voicemails stacked like falling dominoes. Parker, we need you. Call us back immediately. We're prepared to discuss anything. I didn't answer. Not out of revenge, but because for the first time, their urgency wasn't my responsibility. By Thursday, the board finally called. Not Elliot. He was gone. Of course he was. Parker, the voice said, strained and careful, we need your help. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling for a second long. Then I spoke. I'll help, I said. A pause, relief, and then, on my terms. What is the real cost of ignoring the one person who keeps everything alive? They agreed to my terms in under 60 seconds. That's how I knew how bad it was. No negotiations? I asked calmly. The board member's voice tightened. We're past that point, Parker. Good. Then listen carefully, I said. Full transparency, structural overhaul, no single point of failure ever again, and my compensation reflects the damage you caused. A pause. Then, agreed. Desperation doesn't argue. It obeys. I didn't go back. I guided them remotely, cold, precise, detached. Stop guessing, I told their engineers during the first call. You're treating symptoms, fix the core. We don't understand the core, one admitted, voice shaking. I know, that's the problem you created. Step by step, they stabilized, not because of urgency, but because they were finally forced to learn. When it was over, no one thanked me. They didn't need to. I just received $15,000 in my account for my services. The silence said everything. At Quantum Grid Systems, my team of 11 stood around a whiteboard, arguing, building, laughing. "Parker," Lena called, "you're smiling again." I realized I was. Sometimes the ending isn't revenge. It's rebuilding your life somewhere you're finally seen. Dataforge survived, but they would never forget. It was a valuable lesson for them.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.